Right, my loves, it's 7 o'clock, so thank you. I'm going to start the meeting. Cheers. So, welcome everybody at home watching. My name's Councillor Anne-Marie Nixon and I'm Vice Chair of Ramsgate Town Council. We've got quite a lot on this evening, but all good. So, without further ado, I'll start. So, number one, apologies. We do have a few. Thank you.
We have apologies from the Chair, Councillor Alban, due to a personal commitment, Councillor Crittenden, due to a personal commitment, Councillor Wing, who's attending Thanet District Council training, Councillor Ara, who has a work commitment, and Councillor Young, who's unwell.
Okay, and we wish a speedy recovery. Item number 2 on the agenda is declarations of interest. Are there any? No. That was a no. Thank you very much. Item number 3, declaration of acceptance of office by councillors.
This is as per standing orders. We need to confirm that all councillors have made their declaration of office, and I can confirm that I have received them for all 16 members.
Right, thank you. You're right, councillor. Okay. Sorry, I had to pass you that, bless you.
I'm sure not.
Oh, no, I hope you get better too, darling. Yes, it's never good. Right. So, item number 4, public participation. Number 1 of that is public requests to speak.
None.
None. Okay. Item 2 is report from the county councillors on matters directly related to Ramsgate.
None.
Okay. Good or bad? Okay. Contingency officers, yeah, obviously. Item number 5 is minutes of the council meetings. We have to approve the following minutes. It was the 17th of May 2023, the annual town council meeting. Considering I was there, I'm going to propose it's okay. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Huxley, thank you very much. Those in favour, sorry, that's a good point. Those in favour. That's fine. You play with your phone, I'm just going to sign these while you're doing it, so there you are. You want to date it?
Oh, yes.
Oh, that's that lovely bit of admin done. Thank you. Okay, so that's the housekeeping done. We have item number 6, which is the planning applications. And just before I hand over to Dean at the back there, you'll notice in front of you, you have a bit of a crib sheet. So the town clerk's kindly done this because I think, and again, it's especially useful to anybody that's new, is what you're looking for, or what we're considering, when we've actually got a planning application in front of us, rather than like just do we like it, don't we like it type of things. It's very specific about things that we have to tie our reasons to. And so these things are examples of that, so that we're actually giving a reason for our opinions on something as to whether we think this is suitable for Ramsgate, not suitable for Ramsgate, and so on and so forth. So I would suggest people refer to this as we're talking about the planning applications, but also take it home, take a photograph of it on your phone, whatever you want to do to remember it, but it is a useful document. And with, sorry, yes, Councillor.
I'd like to thank the town clerk for very helpful.
It is helpful, isn't it? Yeah, I thought so. And with that, I'll hand over to Dean. Thank you.
So the first application we have is the solar self-use duty. It's a conversion of first and second floor areas with 500 residential flats, comprising 2 number 1 bed, 3 number 2 bed together with second floor rear extension and balcony. Would you provide us Austin for current conditions?
Yes, I was a bit concerned about this, and obviously it's exactly the kind of development we want. We want to see residential development above shop premises, and we need more 1 and 2 bedroom flats, but it did seem to me like they might be trying to squeeze too many in, so I thought we should have a closer look at it to check.
Yeah, so you've got the existing at the top here, and then you've got the proposed at the bottom, so they're putting an extension at the back and an extension on the far end of it as well. So that says it is as existing, so that area, the ground floor, is not being taken into account, it's the first and second floor. So what they're doing is they're putting flats in there. So these bedrooms are actually 11 and 12 metres squared, and the bathrooms are 4.5 metres squared. So they like room sizes.
We do. Can I ask Councillor Mackinson what the minimum is for the room squared, sorry?
10 metres square for a single room, so it's on the cusp.
On the cusp.
Yes. It's allowed.
One thing I don't understand, on the second, I was looking at this afternoon, on the second floor plan, outlined in red.
Yes.
Yeah. What is that over? Underneath it, yeah.
It used to go with stairs, doesn't it?
Yeah, so that's where it was a lower roof, they're extending up. So if I go to the next plan, so you've got it here, and they're extending up.
Okay.
Doesn't seem to be anything underneath it though, that's what I was confused about, but maybe I'm being stupid.
Where it says lower roof on it.
Yeah, so
Lower roof is what?
lower roof and they're extending up. Yeah.
I've actually got the whole thing up.
Yes, Councillor Green.
Where's the bin storage in?
Bin storage is on the ground floor at the back.
And so can I just ask, so access is at the back and you go through past all of those flats to get to the one at the front? That was my confusion. I'm looking at the one, is the front of the shop, as it were, at the bottom of the page?
Yes.
Yes, so you go in, so access to the flats is at the back, yes, and then you go all the way through, and then I couldn't quite work out, was that just one last long flat then,
Yeah,
or?
this is one.
Right.
Flat.
Right, that made sense,
So
okay.
that's, yeah, unit 2 and then unit 1's going up the stairs into that one.
And the one at the back has a staircase to the first floor, to a floor above. So it's a maisonette.
So that, so that one flat there, unit 6, goes up
To that.
to the top level from about.
It's quite confusing.
It is quite confusing.
Is that?
Councillor Green.
Is there any space for cycles?
Yes, there's cycle spaces, that's like this here.
Councillor Mackinson.
Could we see a sort of street view thing? Because I'm not sure how you get to the back. It's that horrible alleyway.
It's through Cavendish, isn't it, like Poppy Court? It goes through that gate at the back, opposite the public toilets.
So
Yeah.
that's a very good point. So you're going along that alleyway and in past the other houses
And then all the way along the corridor, like
and all the way along the corridor.
to your flat.
So in,
For the bins?
It's a,
Yes, it is a thin alleyway.
Yes, it's the access to the front, bin storage right here, and then you've got the cycle storage, so it's literally as you walk through.
you're in the flat at the front, it's very
So will
inconvenient.
the refuge people
how will they get to the
go and
bins?
get the bins or what?
To bring them out.
I would assume it's the same as the Poppy Court where they have the storage here at the back.
That's all illegal access, you have to go through that alley.
To go through and along,
Yes.
yes.
Okay, so the other thing is people taking in, I mean, furniture deliveries and things like that, it's going to be extremely difficult. So if we aren't in favour of this, and we might be, I don't know, but if we're not in favour of this, what are we putting it down to?
Could I suggest that we say that we're in favour in principle of the idea of developing flats at first floor level, but we are concerned about cramped conditions,
Yes.
about waste arrangements,
Yes,
and access, access.
with regards to neighbours.
For a whole variety of things, including, yes.
Yes, right. Councillor Huxley.
Emergency services, that's always the one, isn't it, if they can't access it?
Emergency service as well. Do I have a seconder proposal? Thank you, councillor Hetherington. All those in favour? Okay, that's carried, thank you. Thank you, Dean.
Okay, the second one is 83 Western Road. So this is a direction of a single-storey ground floor rear extension, together with the direction of a single-storey ground floor rear extension, accorded by Councillor opposite the conservation area.
I'm sorry, I didn't know Roshan wasn't going to be here, so I haven't had a chance to speak to her about this.
Okay,
Any information about what her concerns were, I'm sorry.
let's see what they're doing first of all.
You've got the conservation is split along the west.
Sorry, Dean, Pat, sorry, we can't hear, sorry.
So you've got the conservation area beside the west end. It is just that house there. So the extension is at the back. These plans are quite back and forth because they're not done the same. So I do apologise for that.
No problem.
So this is it as existing. So you've got an existing utility and you've got an existing kitchen on the ground floor, which they're looking to come out here to extend the kitchen out as a bit of a lounge area, and the utility part they're extending to have a shower unit, so it should look like that. So you've got the extension of the shower and then a proposed bay.
So am I right in thinking that it's not necessarily impacting on the street scene from the front, because it's all at the back, and I should imagine people have adapted the backs all the way along that stretch?
Looking at, it's a bit hard because I can't get
Of course,
the street view.
of course.
I would assume that it's probably, I mean, they've got that there already as existing. They're looking to remove that and replace it with the bay window bit.
Has anybody got any comments on this?
Backs onto Canberra Road, does it?
Just
yes.
as well, it's aluminium inside, it's PVC.
But it's not in the conservation area, is it? It's opposite. Oh, yeah, no, cheers, but that's the key point, isn't it? Any comments?
Yeah, that's a plan.
Yep.
I just hate these rooms with no windows.
Well, I'm going to propose no comment on this.
Yes.
Second, yeah, councillor Hetherington, all those in favour? Thank you, that's carried, thank you. And the last one.
The last one is the oil, so you've got the description there, I'm not going to read that out for you. The amended application includes, it's just the inclusion of planters of the drawings in the courtyard. There's no changes to the actual structure, it's just literally for the...
So it's basically, all this application is just the planters, so people are aware.
It's mentioned amenities, so they've put planters to define the individual flats at the back.
Thank you, yes, councillor Austin.
I've called this into RTC planning and I'm in correspondence with the planning officer who says she is expecting a further amended application and will let us know
Okay.
when they get it. So I think this is a sort of interim, we'll deal with that point and then we'll move on to something else.
Okay,
Because obviously we were concerned about the bulky nature of the...
absolutely.
And obviously they've not done anything about that yet, but the impression I had from her was that she was expecting something more.
Right. I mean, for anybody who knows this planning application that we've seen a couple of times, it is a bit of a, dare I say, eyesore, and it's yes, carbuncle. And but this is literally just about the planters, and therefore I don't really see any problem with that necessarily. So I would propose no comment. Oh, sorry, councillor Green, beg your pardon.
Propose we repeat that.
Certainly, then I'll second that.
Yes.
All those in favour? Thank you. Superb. Thank you, Dean. Okay. This one side. Right. Item number 7 on the agenda is the neighbourhood plan. Let me give you a quick update on where we are with this at the moment, because again, those of you who've been councillors before realise that this has been going on for quite a while. However, We're at the stage now where it's been effectively returned to the council. So an awful lot of work's been done. Also, an outside consultant who's actually written a book on neighbourhood plans has looked at it, and it's now come back to us. And certain things are needed. Effectively, it's got to go to TDC for review. So, with that in mind, I'm just going to hand over to the town clerk to explain in more detail, but that's really where we're at.
Usually you would have with the neighbourhood plan a steering group or similar, which would be made up of members of the council and representatives from the local community. At the moment, our representatives from the local community have now stepped back. I think we need to consider that at the moment it is the full responsibility of the town council to take this forward. So there is a completed plan in front of you, which is the Ramsgate Screening Neighbourhood Plan version 3.8. This doesn't necessarily encompass everything that a neighbourhood plan can do, but it is a finalised plan. And so I think members will need to consider whether actually they'd like to progress with this plan to get this finalised and signed off, or whether you'd like to revisit anything within the document. Mr. Chetwin from Urban Vision Enterprise CIC has volunteered to meet with the members. He's not local, and it would be an online meeting, he said, and then you can ask him any questions and he can explain exactly what is in our plan, what isn't, why something is or isn't, where we are in the process, what the next steps are. Members are asked to consider, would you like, as the plan stands at the moment, to progress with passing this to TDC to screen it? Or possibly perhaps meet with Mr. Chetwin first to just understand a bit more about where we're at. Yeah.
Just to talk before anybody else does. So, first of all, and I should have said this at the beginning and I apologise, I would publicly like to thank all the people that have put all the work into this document up until this point, because I think it's been a long process and people have given a lot of hours over to this across society, and thank you for that. So don't forget, it has been out to a steering group, so we have done that bit. It's not that we can't do that again, but we have got to the point where we've done the steering group, we've got a plan, this is something that we could present to TDC. Now let's say, for example, there are things in this plan or aren't in this plan that we want. It doesn't mean to say they can't come in at a later date. This isn't the plan as in that's it, we can't change it at all. It just means that we have something that we can start working with. That's quite important. So to get it to TDC, for them to look at it, just takes us a step further than we've ever done before. So basically what the question is now is, do we give it to TDC to look at, or do we speak to this guy, get information, because that's not such a bad thing, and then give it TDC to look at? Both options, they've got, there's differences there. So it's not like one's the baddie, it isn't. It's what the council would prefer to do. I've got Councillor Austin, Councillor Green, Councillor Hetherington and Councillor Mackinson.
Well, I'd suggest that we do speak to Dave Chetwin because he has been extremely helpful in the past, but I absolutely agree with you that we need to move on with this. I think the differences that have been made in the latest version are generally very positive, with the exception of the fact that we made much fuss about the need for a strong emphasis on climate change. I think what we've got now is an introductory section that's so gloom and doomy about climate change that we all expect to drown by the end of next week. So I think perhaps we could create something a little more positive and upbeat about the future of Ramsgate in the introduction. But I think it's that kind of small tweaking that we're probably looking at. As you say, there's things we would like to see in there that aren't in there, but at least we've got something we can move forward.
Absolutely, and it's a working document, and that's the thing that we've got to be grateful for, that we can actually change things as we move along. Councillor Green.
I think we need to recognise that this is a new council. There are councillors here that have not had a chance to input on this. So I'd like to endorse the taking up the offer from Mr Chetwynd. I think we need to accept that this is now the council's responsibility.
Yes, I agree.
Accept the offer. Like previous speaker, I am concerned about the sections on climate change, particularly the impact on properties in our conservation area, where trying to do some of the things you would normally do to combat climate change are difficult in a conservation area. And I think we should particularly ask him, in his experience, is that been included in a local plan?
Thank you. And for anybody that doesn't know, basically you can't have like double glazing on a listed property and things like that. And,
Not for the list, but you can have conservation area, can't you? Sorry.
Yeah, but so things like that are quite awkward. So in the conservation area there are quite a lot of listed buildings. So there's things there that would be nice if we could iron out or help people become more climate aware and prevent things happening. Councillor Hetherington.
I just was going to say exactly what the other two councillors have said for exactly the same reasons, and I think it would be helpful for us to seek this independent advice because there are new councillors here, and there are a couple of things I would like to ask about too. So
certainly.
Yes. Thank you.
What I was going to suggest, yes, we set up a meeting with Dave, but 2 weeks, I mean, obviously you can't do it tomorrow, so that we have a good chance to look through.
Yes, certainly.
Yes. Before,
certainly.
say 2 weeks or something.
Yes.
Before we have a meeting with Wade. And maybe we could email in things to Laura, to the town clerk, about making a list of things we want to ask about, or maybe we could save them for the...
Well, I think emailing them to give to him is a good idea, and it's also emailing them into the town clerk for the chair to look at is a good idea, because let's face it, we know that some of them will be quite pressing and maybe we could put them in now, and others we can prioritise so the next time we revise it, what would we be looking at? So I think that creating a pool of questions isn't such a bad idea, you're right, and let's not wait until we get this guy online. So if you do get the chance to look at it, please do in the next couple of weeks. I'm sure the town clerk will try to set up an appointment and we'll take it from there. So that's our proposal. Go on.
We aim to bring it back to the next meeting for decision.
Yes, that's the idea. So the proposal is that we set up a meeting with this gentleman. Seconder? Thank you, Councillor Hetherington. All those in favour? Thank you.
Chair?
Yes.
Sorry, may I add that we're going to need to do quite a lot of public engagement and consultation and get public support behind this document. So it is going to be really essential that we know the content.
Absolutely. So
that we can sell it and explain it.
Yeah. There are thousands watching now. You are all over this. Yeah? So don't you worry. We'll... Super and brilliant. And then, of course, once we've done that, as Councillor Green says, we bring it back and then we're looking at noting these things to give to Thanet District Council. So that's a big shift in the neighbourhood plan. Thank you, everybody. Okay. Yes.
I wonder if we could write formally to Jen Dawes and tell her where we're at and thank her for her work.
I think that's
has done quite an
excellent job. Yeah. Thank you for proposing
that. And over the years, those of us who've been involved in it have had variable support from the town council, and at times an awful lot of slagging off from certain members of the town council, which has been rather depressing, really, when you put a lot of work in. And I think we really should recognise those efforts.
I agree with you, and thank you, Councillor Austin. That's an excellent idea. I absolutely agree.
I should ask you, shouldn't I? Is there a cost involved in this going forward?
Yeah, please do.
So if Thanet District Council responds that we need further assessments and reports, that is again documents that we will need to pay for. Also, towards the end of last year, the council did approve getting in some admin support for working up the public engagement and organising meetings. There was then actually quite a lull for a few months whilst Dave was doing his work, and actually there wasn't anything that was needed in the office. But we have previously approved some money towards some admin, and I think that will be necessary. Yeah.
Yeah, cheers. Good question, thank you. Okay, you all right? Let's move on to item number 8 on the agenda, which is committees and scheme of delegation. So before I hand over to the town clerk, just to explain again to anybody new here. So we have the Finance and General Purpose group, we have the Town Planning group, we have the Planning group, we have something called Bradford House group, which we'll come on to, and also we have full council. So these are basically the different committees and meetings that we're talking about. And with that, I'll hand you over to the town clerk.
Right, thank you, Chair.
Oh, sorry, did I not say town promotion? Oh, I've got it down here and I didn't say it.
A couple of weeks ago, I emailed to members the now legal topic note about the power to discharge functions, and it's basically how decisions can be made. And decisions can either be made by the council, committees with delegated power, and officers. And I'll leave Bradford House Committee for a moment, but the Finance and General Purposes Committee, Planning and Infrastructure Committee and Town Promotion Committee. There's a couple of tweaks to the Town Promotion Committee terms of reference. There was mainly to include things that have happened over the past year, for example, oversight of the Open Spaces group, which has now been added in. But at the moment, those terms of reference remain more or less the same, and myself and my colleagues, there's no recommendations from officers that these need to be disbanded or significantly changed. I think we feel that each of these committees has got a good amount of work to be undertaking. There's also a general terms of reference for all committees. So for these three, the questions tonight are to approve the terms of reference. But within there, we have the chairs confirmed at the moment, but we need the vice chairs confirmed and membership confirmed. And Councillor Austin has requested a debate regarding members of the committee. At the moment, all councillors are on all committees. And it can't be something that people dip in and out of. We must stipulate how many members and who they are.
Just before I ask Councillor Austin to talk, traditionally we selected the vice chair of the group at the first meeting. Only now's as good a time as any, so that's not such a bad thing, although we do have people that are not here, so let's bear that in mind. So we've got to think about that. The other thing is, we have new councillors here that haven't been on in any of these meetings at all, and so they might not necessarily know which ones that they would want to sit on, so let's bear that in mind too. And thirdly, if I can remember my own thoughts, what am I thinking? What's the third thing? It's been a very long week. No, it'll come back to me. But anyway, that's number 3 to hang on. So I'll let Councillor Austin talk, and I'll try and remember what I'm talking about.
Thank you, Chair. We talked about this previously. People who were on the council previously, we've had this discussion and decided that we would carry on with all councillors being members of all committees. But it has involved a lot of evenings here.
Which was my third point, is the amount of work involved. Thank you very much, Councillor Austin.
A lot of evenings here until quite late, virtually every Wednesday evening, when many of us share wards with one or more other councillors, where we could actually divide those responsibilities up so that we have a representative from each ward or something. We could arrange that between us. And it seems to me and to other councillors I've talked to, a lot of duplication of effort, and where people's time could be better spent, in fact, if we decided on membership for our committees, which would not stop any member attending, but they wouldn't be able to vote as a member of that committee, as I understand. Is that right, Town Clerk? So for those of us who were interested in a planning matter could come along to a planning meeting, but we wouldn't be able to vote on that matter.
Exactly. So,
So
eager to come to every meeting. Like, I love a meeting.
I think, those of us who are double hatters, it's a lot of work, but also there are members who have full-time jobs, so
Yes.
it is a great deal to expect, I think, for us to be here virtually every Wednesday night.
Yes. Now, to answer a question, sorry, Councillor, I'll come back to you. To answer a question that I can see happening is the answer is 3 or more people needs to be in a group for it to work, okay? So that's the first thing. So it can be 3 up to 16, but it needs to be 3 minimum. And just to reiterate what Councillor Austin said, we need members of that group, but if you wanted to turn up for any particular reason, you really are welcome. Please don't think you can't. Yes, Councillor.
Yeah, it's just picking up, you cannot vote if you're in attendance but not part of the committee.
Yes.
Comment and attend and make comments.
As a member of the public, you could. You would be effectively there as a member of the public, so you could request to speak in advance. You could also email the members in advance.
Thank you.
Another thing that could be put into the terms of reference is that there could be a call-in option where if there's something that a committee's transacting that you think, actually that's really important, that should go to the full council, there could maybe be the option for members to call things into full council.
Thank you. Councillor Green.
Yeah. I mean, this would be a fundamental change in the way this council is run. For 8 years or so, we've had every member on every committee involved in every decision. This would be a major change. But I can't see here any proposals for what the change would look like. In other words, how many would be on each committee. No, let me finish.
Yeah, no, go on.
So, I really don't see how we can make a decision on that tonight. I think it's something we should consider in detail. We've already reduced the number of times some of these committees meet, which I think we've lost something by, because people involved in those committees don't seem to be doing the investigative work that they used to do prior to it coming to full council or FGP. So I think we really need to think about this deeply. I'm quite happy to move to it, that's what people want. But I would suggest that we spend this year, as we are now, with a view to really considering whether we want to change at the end of the year.
Okay. I think,
Sorry.
is that a proposal then?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I definitely agree in terms of it's nice to see what the meetings are and see what's going on this year and what's happening in each meeting, because I think that's quite important that people are aware of the different functions in town promotion and so on and so forth. So I would recommend that highly. With regards to, we don't know what the proposal is, and I understand that. I think it was a case of that was part of this discussion. So I don't think I don't think anybody, and don't get me wrong, it's not me, I'm just reading from this, but I don't think anybody was coming to this meeting with this is the way we should do it. I purely mentioned the fact that you would need 3 councillors as members in the group. There's no other stipulation for what it would look like. However, we've got a proposal on the table of keeping it in the state it is at the moment for a year, which works. It's time consuming, but it works. And people, if you can't make a meeting, you can't make a meeting, but you do get a lot of insight into what's happening. It's very useful.
I support Councillor Austin with her proposal. There's too many meetings.
Well, hang on.
You get ownership. I'm allowed to discuss it, aren't I?
No, based on all I was going to point of order is I didn't think Councillor Austin had a proposal on the table, because otherwise...
What she had. Well, it's a motion, isn't it?
Discuss the possibility of, I hadn't got any particular
Right.
angle on it, I just wanted us to raise and discuss the
Yes.
possibility
I was-
of looking different.
Thank you. Councillor,
Therefore, there's a discussion to be had.
I didn't want to stop you in your conversation. I was just like, there was a proposal on the table that we'd have to vote on. That wasn't it, but please carry on, sorry.
Still discussing it.
Of course.
Right.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, please do.
So, I mean, just like, I was councillors, yeah, let's have a conversation about it. Because I think it's too many meetings. I think you need ownership. If you're a member of a committee, you have ownership of that. It's widely spread. I understand why we've done it in the past. I think you'd have more ownership of a committee if you were on it, like at Thanet District Council,
Yes.
in my opinion.
Yes, I agree. Yeah. Anybody else? Comments?
Maybe make it next 6 months rather than 1 year of thinking to see how it works.
Would you
Makes sense.
change your proposal for 6 months?
Yeah, happy with that.
Okay,
Accept that amendment.
all right. Sorry, Councillor Green, is that?
Can I suggest an alternative? I mean, the original way we used to do things was we had the different committees in front of us, and we were asked, each person was asked what committee do you want to specially be on. For instance, in my case, I particularly wanted to go on to planning, so that was accepted and I was one of the names on planning.
Yes.
So on and so forth. But I wasn't then expected to go to finance and general purposes or whatever.
Yes.
But we had a quorum, of course.
Yes.
The quorum was bigger. I think it was something like 5, wasn't it?
Yeah,
It wasn't 3.
yeah.
It was higher.
Yes.
But at least we knew, just take that for an example, as an example. The names were down. Those were the people that particularly showed an interest in planning. And those were the names that were accepted at this end. So when they were the ones that were expected and should turn up for that meeting. Whereas I agree entirely with Councillor Huxley in as much as if you spread us out, I think we're too thin. I think there are individual forums as well, and also I think going to something you're not as interested in, and then because your name is not on the list for that, you then can't vote. So, yeah.
I think, sorry, just before I go to the town clerk, I think the first part of what you're saying with regards to what do you have an interest in, I think that was the way that we would do it. If we were to divvy it up, I think it would be exactly that.
We knew exactly where we were.
Of course. And I appreciate you bringing that up, and I think that's really where we're going with it. I think also it might be because to see a few meetings where we are all here would show how we do work as a group, whether it's onus on the workload or what have you, because we don't tend to spread ourselves too thinly. But it would at least show people what the meetings consist of, and then you get an idea of what you would be interested in. So I think it might be worth actually having a look at what the meetings are like as we all come together first. But town clerk.
There was an electronic questionnaire sent out to members today to gauge information about what you're interested in, where your skills might lie, what you would like to learn more about. So that would inform possibly committee membership.
Yes, and thank you for the audit, Dean. That's very useful. I've got Councillor Austin and then Councillor Huxley.
I wanted to, without wishing to overcomplicate things, obviously at a council like Thanet, you also have the potential to substitute. So the issue about a quorum should not be a problem, because you would be able to nominate a person to represent you if you're on holiday or something like that. I'm sure we could make some kind of arrangement like that if we went ahead with in this way.
I believe that substitutions at our tier of local government are accepted.
Are they not?
But it is something I can double check.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Thank you. So, Councillor Hudson, thank you.
Listening to the viewpoints, I'd suggest another amendment of 3-month trial. Yeah, for me as a newbie, I still want to be involved and view, see how it goes on, and have the ability to vote, make comments.
The only problem with a 3-month trial is you'd be surprised how few meetings you have in that 3 months. It would probably need to be 6 months for you to get a chance. I appreciate your thought there.
Experience over right.
Thank you, darling. Thank you. Councillor Huxley.
To be honest, I think there are too many meetings. and your enthusiasm declines over time. You know, we've got some new councillors.
Yeah.
I just don't think it's... Anyway, also some councils actually do, they would have a full council meeting and discuss everything. And I think the town clerk has suggested that before. I'm not sure if that would work. They would do everything.
Right. Well, the reason that we changed the system before, if you remember, is that we used to have all council meetings almost biannually, and now it's, you know, monthly. So there is an element of you can get a lot more done in those meetings because we do have them monthly. The proposal on the table at the moment is that we have for a 6-month period, the status quo stays the same, so that people get an idea of what's going on. I absolutely hear what people are saying with regards to workload, and I don't disagree with it. I'm impartial on this score, but we've got a proposal where it's like, let's look to see what happens for 6 months and then make a decision, because people are aware of the workload, people are aware of the ability to, you know, put the all into something, and then we can make that decision then when people have a better experience of what the first 6 months has been like. Okay, Councillor Green.
I mean, just to add to that, I think we need the town clerk to come back with the mechanism of how we make this work.
Right, certainly.
Can I just ask a small thing? Why is the forum only 3? Why is it?
No, this is where so the quorum is 1/3 of potential members. 3 is the minimum number of people you can have on a committee. You couldn't have a committee with 1 member or a committee with 2 members.
Sent home, you know, only 4.
Yes,
But that's a quorum, it's different.
Sent home.
So this is actually the total number of members on the committee can't be less than 3.
But the quorum for a meeting would have to be 1/3 of the council. Yeah.
But a third of those committee members. A 3 or a 1/3, whichever is higher.
So on that basis, having a higher number committed, there's a higher risk of having it cancelled because of...
Yes. Do you say that we have very, very few, we've only had a few, in the last 4 years, we've only had a few meetings cancelled. You know, so it doesn't happen that often. Councillor Green.
Well, I think the point that was made about if people find themselves on a committee, they're more likely to be...
Work. Yeah.
You know, to work, to want that committee to work and therefore to turn up. I think that's a good point.
Yeah.
So I think that would probably ensure that we're never incorporate on those committees.
Yes, thank you. Councillor Etherington.
I'd like to point out, I mean, when we looked at the council attendance figures, they were very high for this council, for nearly all of us, apart from a few that have now departed. So I don't think we normally have a problem about attendance.
Right, I'm going to go straight to the vote then for the proposal, just to remind ourselves what it is.
So it's to continue with all councillors on all committees, but to be reviewed in 6 months' time with a proposal from myself to come to you for consideration.
All those in favour? Thank you. So that's the first bit done.
So the next one is the overall terms of reference, what the committee's delegated to do, what their responsibilities are, and the general guidance. So we've got F&GP, terms of reference, planning and infrastructure, town promotion and general guidance for approval.
Councillor Green.
Before we move on to that, I'd like to hear the argument for Radford House not being a committee.
Go on with it, Tim.
So over the past year, we have not needed to call a Radford House committee meeting. Instead, I feel like it's quick decisions have been required on to progress things, which yourself, Councillor Dixie, and I have made those decisions, and then we've reported them to the full council when required, and also the bigger decisions regarding Radford House, things like when the budget comes up and where there's significant expenditure being occurred, actually just continuing to bring that to full council when required is the suggestion. So instead of having a committee, actually having a scheme of delegation to myself in conjunction with possibly Councillor Nixie and yourself to continue as we have done the last year. And then when there's decisions required, these come to the full council.
Any comments?
Well, I just don't see how that's any different from any of the other. This is a massive decision that we should all be involved in it. And I think
I don't think
downgrading it.
I don't think it is downgraded though. I think you and I make decisions and that we can make decisions to get the thing moving, but any decision that needs council approval, we bring to council. So all we're doing is looking at stuff that we need to bring to council. We're not making the decisions on behalf of council that are big enough. We couldn't, none of us could. But we are doing the day-to-day bits, getting things moving so that when we come to a decision that needs to come to council, we can bring it. That's the way I'm looking at it.
So the idea is actually that we're not taking things to a committee, we're taking everything to do with Radford House to full council, other than the smaller progressing decisions that we're making.
And can council deal with the sort of fine detail that Radford House requires?
With regards to, give me an example.
With regards to the budget or use of whatever, who we employ. And
Would a smaller committee, if we had it, would still need to bring that to council though, wouldn't it?
oh yeah.
So all this is basically speeding things up for the council and for the Radford House. It's not it's not giving us power. It's basically getting things streamlined so that we can bring it to council. We're not making decisions instead of council. We are clarifying the information so that when we bring it to council, people are aware of what's going on because we understand it well enough to present it. Does that make sense? Any questions? So Radford House, again, just very quickly, so Radford House is it's the old fire station that we're turning into a community hub. So, of course, there's lots of meetings and things going on at the moment that David, Laura and I attend to keep the ball rolling of stuff. And so, therefore, it is a lot of meetings, a lot of sort of like quick, simple decisions. But every time we get to a full council or something, then we report back. And if we needed any money for the building, we always ask full council. There is nothing that's decided by ourselves that is important. Councillor Green. Okay, all right. Okay. So, are we voting on this?
Actually, can I give an example for members? Towards the end of last year, council approved a sum of money up to £40,000 for immediate repair works. So myself and Councillor Nixie and Green have overseen where this is gone out to tender and contract finder. We're receiving questions back from our project manager. It's the principle of what we're doing and the expenditure is known to and approved by the council, but actually the nitty-gritty of making that happen is myself in conjunction with two councillors.
Makes sense.
Okay. So, are we voting on the terms of reference, or what are we doing?
We could go straight to consider if the Radford House Committee should be disbanded and replaced with a scheme of delegation, which I've written there's a document setting out how that would work.
Okay, well, I would propose that we do downgrade, but that's an inappropriate term, I feel, but put it different to the usual term of reference for the other meetings for Radford House to be streamlined.
So Radford House is a project, it's a current project, it's not a committee in the same way that
Yes. Yes.
parts of our plan which come separate.
Yes.
Would that be a
Way of looking at it.
Very helpful way of looking at it, yes, thank you. Do we need to vote on that? Do I need a seconder? I need a seconder then. Thank you, Councillor Austin. All those in favour? Thank you. So that's Radford House dealt with. Thank you. Against, thank you. And abstain, I'm assuming nobody.
So if we can come back to the terms of reference for town promotion, planning and infrastructure, finance and general purposes, and then the general document. So if I can ask members to consider whether there should be any amendments to those. The next question after that's going to be vice chairs.
Right, so if you want to have a quick look at the terms of reference, if there's anything anybody wants to say on those. I'm right in believing they haven't changed since we did them last time, aren't we, Ty?
That's
Propose acceptance, just get the ball rolling.
Go on then. I'll second that, Councillor Green, thank you. Anybody want to say anything before I go to the vote? No, all those in favour? Cheers, thank you very much. Right, we're on to vice chairs, thank you. Might I ask, Town Clerk, how we do this without, when certain people are not here?
we can nominate an absent councillor.
Okay.
Children's school and this one meeting.
Have we changed what we normally do? Have we decided to change what we normally do? Which is to allow the committees themselves to elect the vice chair.
So the general terms of reference,
Exactly. Post it, yeah.
which were approved last year, said the chair and the vice chair shall be elected by the council from among the town council members.
Right. So let's just make this easy for ourselves. We've got finance and general purposes, we've got town promotion, and we've got planning. Basically, are the three committees that we need vice chairs for. Are there any offers for any of those? You're the vice chair. Thank you.
I'll do planning.
Oh, thank you, Pat. You and I together.
So, I self-nominate for town promotion.
Please. Brilliant.
You may. And if it's a single one, I take it it's just straight away. So nobody wants to fight. Councillor Mackinson. Yeah. Yeah, we're still voting. So.
I think Tony's disappointed actually.
So let's get planning out of the way. All those in favour of Councillor Mackinson, thank you. That's very kind of you. Thank you, Councillor Mackinson. That's brilliant. Town promotion. Does anybody else would like to nominate themselves against Councillor Huxley?
Town promotion, yeah.
So you'd like to go for that as well, right? So we've got Councillor Moore, Councillor Huxley. Any more? I feel like an auction. Any more? Yeah. Okay. So we go to the votes then. I'm going to ask for people in favour of Councillor Huxley first. I think we want to do this publicly. Thank you. You're voting for.
I think she's.
Yes, there's going to be two of us, isn't there?
No, there's already a chair, it's a vice chair.
Right. I'm not doing it.
That's a girl, right. Councillor Huxley it is.
Something.
Go on.
If we're only having 3 people to each.
No, minimum 3. Minimum 3.
Right. So you're going to need a fair bit more than that because if you have a chair, a vice chair.
Yes.
And one other person.
It's minimum 3. That's the idea of a group. That's the minimum 3. It can be a lot more than that. It can be up to 16 if people are keen on it. So that's just, a minimum. Okay, we are finance and general purposes. At this point, you see, I'd normally nominate David, but he's the chair. So we're slightly stuck on this. So it's a case of like we vote somebody out of the room.
I nominate Jim. Yes, I second that. I second.
Certainly not
Jim's not keen.
that's not my
Expertise.
field reference now.
Yes. I can't say it.
It's been me
Yes.
I don't want to carry on, sorry.
No? Okay.
Not even for 6 months.
Not even 6 months.
Well, it would be a year, I'm afraid, yeah.
And Laurie's.
Right, so we've got Councillor Crittenden, Councillor Ara, Councillor Alban and Councillor Young out of the room.
And Councillor Wing.
Oh, Councillor Wing, I beg your pardon, Councillor Wing.
Well, we'll never have to do it.
Is Councillor Hudson there?
And she's already been asked.
What about you, Councillor?
He wanted planning.
Necessary, we could leave the post vacant to be brought back at the next meeting, whilst people think about it.
Twist people's arms.
Yes.
I was going to say, I can't see any other way around this. It's not a popular choice, is it? It's not because of David, obviously. We don't want it to sound personal. It's just it's numbers, isn't it? Some people are good at them and some people aren't. I'm not. So I propose that we bring that forward to the next meeting? The Finance and General Purposes meeting, or the next full council?
Next council meeting.
Next council meeting. Any seconders for that? Thank you. All those in favour? Thank you. One of you's got to throw yourself on the sword, I'm afraid, yes? Okay, cheers for that. Thank you. That was long, but we got it done. Brilliant. So, item number 9 on the agenda is finances. No, we're still going.
There was one more item on this, is to approve the scheme of delegation to the town clerk, which then confirms what the council and the committees are not doing, but what I can.
Yes, I propose that we approve it. All those in favour? Superb. Right, number 9, finances. Oh, is that all right? Cheers. Is that all right, Councillor Green?
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, I'm asking the town clerk to talk us through the finances.
All right, so the first item is you've got 2 lists of expenditure. You're asked to note the payments that I have authorised. These are things that are under £1,000, which is within my power of expenditure, and to approve the payments that are above that threshold.
Any comments from anybody?
That's fine.
Yes, Councillor Huxley.
What's after the transactions list? What's the medical G? £247.25p.
Oh, so this is the medical cover, the ambulance service that's provided at our events.
Oh, okay.
So when you possibly see someone like St John's Ambulance, or in this case, want some medical, that is your private medical cover at a large event.
Thanks.
Thank you for asking. Anybody else? No, if not, I propose that we accept these. Seconded. All those in favour? Thank you. The second bit is events funding. And first of all, I'd like to thank the 2 people that have come in and waited for this. I realise that you've just sat through a tedious meeting, but cheers for that. We're getting onto the events funding now, so yeah, I'll leave that one to you.
Okay, so first of all, we've got applications from the Events Fund. It's the beginning of the financial year, so the grant budgets are currently full. The first application to be considered is Ramsgate Town Carnival. Their total expenditure for the project is £7,563, and they're asking for £1,000 less at £6,563. The council previously resolved to award the applicant £2,000. The applicant is also to be offered assistance from the council if required and available. For example, if they wanted to use Bradford House. This applicant, whilst grateful for the allocated funding, has advised the town council that the town carnival is at risk due to increased costs. For example, road closures will now cost £2,500. and the District Council are adding charges by insisting on parking bays and toilet hire. The applicant has also advised that they currently cannot cover the basic cost of the road closure, land hire and event insurance fees. The applicant has put new income generation plans in place, including Eddie Gadd brewing a Ramsgate Carnival Ale and donating 6 barrels. But the impact won't be seen until after the event.
Right, so just to recap for, again, people that weren't here before, basically we were given this application before the new council came in. We felt as a council it wasn't appropriate for us to spend monies of new councillors before they'd even come and made a decision. So we capped any event fund that came in before the election at £2,000 so that we could come back to it or you know, look at the monies at a later date. So it's a new council, new monies and so on and so forth. We have the option again to look at this since it being brought back. I've got Councillor Green, anybody else? Councillor Moore, Councillor Dark, Councillor Hetherington.
I think the District Council needs to consider whether it wants town carnivals to run.
Yes.
And if so, whether there's anything they can do to ease the costs. And I think we should write to Thanet District Council to that effect.
I agree.
Other than that, I think we could offer to meet the sort of statutory costs, but I would like them to be lower than the ones from Thanet District Council are asking for at present.
Right. So bear in mind that, again, what Councillor Green's saying, we seem to be spending a lot of our money paying for things that just goes to Thanet District Council. So it's not that we're not supporting local things, it's Thanet District Council that we're binded by at the minute. I've got Councillor Moore, sorry.
Thank you.
Can't read my own writing.
I think that because it's Ramsgate Town Council, it's Ramsgate's Town Council, and we should help to provide it. You can't expect them to do it all on their own. But I think we should put more money into it. It's for our convenience, and it's for our Ramsgate Town Carnival. And have you seen them all coming on their fancy floats? And we have one that's floor sticks with a flat board. You know, we've got to support them because they're standing for us. You know, people will be looking at it and saying, that is Ramsgate's Town Council's, that's Ramsgate's Carnival float. Doesn't it look lovely? Instead of saying, what's that then?
This is about the carnival, not about the...
It's supporting them. If they need help, we should support them.
Councillor Moore, I think again that's muddying the waters. As much as I hear what you're saying, we're looking at the Carnival's application for something, yes, of course, is to do with Ramsgate, but one, let's not forget what Councillor Green's just said with regards to basically we are paying Thanet District Council's fees. That's a really big, that's where most of the costs come, quite frankly. So we should be considering that. And secondly, it's not Ramsgate Town Council's event. So I'm not saying we don't support it. I'm definitely not saying I don't want it or anything like that. All I'm saying is you can't muddy the waters by saying, you know, we should do this because other people could put on different things and say, well, we're representing Ramsgate, you need to do that for us too. So we've got to be quite clear. As brutal as it sounds, we've got to be quite clear about what we are looking at. That makes sense.
Yes, but even if I put it any different way, that's how I feel.
Okay, fair enough, of course. Then thank you. I'm going to go on to Councillor Dark, thank you.
Actually, what I wanted to say is being...
Oh, okay. Thank you. Councillor Hetherington.
Well, I was agreeing with Councillor Green about the costs because they just seem extraordinary, frankly. And I'm also quite concerned about the size of some of these applications, actually. We haven't got that much in the pot.
Yes. I think that's something that's been apparent, especially in the last couple of years, is the grant applications have become larger and larger, which means that we can fund less and less people, whereas it used to be, you know, a couple of thousand, now it's going up. Now, that's not necessarily because the people that are asking for money are greedy, far from it. Their costs have gone up too, and I think their costs have gone up because, again, people like TDC, who haven't got money, their costs have gone up as well. So it's just the nature of the business, but unfortunately our pot hasn't gone up. So that's the problem that we're at. I don't have a proposal for anything. I don't know if anybody's got strong ideas or anybody wants to say anything else.
Can I just add from a personal point of view, on behalf of the town team, I run a Facebook group, Thanet Funding Forum. We post stuff every week or as often as we can from all the alerts about different sources of funding. Would it be possible for us routinely, when people apply to us for grant funding, also to point out to them that if they join this group, they will get information about all sorts of stuff that comes up? I'm not suggesting it would necessarily be appropriate in this case, and I know Teresa is a member of that group, but I know there are other people who apply to us who seem to think the Ramsgate Town Council is the answer to all their problems, and actually don't look any further, or they maybe look at a very big, you know, Arts Council or Heritage Lottery application. They don't think about local Kent charities that actually do provide quite useful grants to voluntary groups.
I just scratched my nose.
Just as an answer to this, but I think if we could routinely do that for people and point out that our funding is limited, but there are all sorts of other things out there.
I think that's very important, Councillor Austin, I agree with you. So if we could do that, please, that would be great. We're still at the point where this particular organisation does have a dedicated £2,000 from us, plus help where possible. It's not unlimited, obviously, because Radford House is in the process of meanwhile use and things like that, but wherever possible that we are offering them. So we are giving this organisation some money. I do appreciate that that might not be enough for that organisation. Councillor Green.
Is the £2,000 already allocated?
Yes.
Yes.
Not included in the balance?
Sorry, can I
Yeah. So, thank you. We have the question where the total project expenditure is £7,563.64. The grant requested is £6,563.64, but the total project expenditure we are assuming is before the £2,000. It's not after the £2,000. So it wasn't 9 coming down to 7. It was 7, and then it would go down to 5.
Yeah. Yes. Can I just explain that the reason that there's such a big jump? I appreciate the fact of what you're saying about paying it back to Thanet District Council, but for example, our road closures this year, which we do a rolling road closure for the Carnival Parade. In 2021, the cost was £450. In 2022, it was £720. This year, it's £2,500.
Yes.
Just for a road closure. This is why we are really struggling to do this.
Of course.
Yes,
Does that go to KCC?
no, that's a gentleman by the name of Nigel England Science Limited that has to do that does the road. There are very few people apparently that hold a certificate enough to be able to close the roads, but they're all within £2,000 to £3,000 mark now.
Okay. So in that, sorry.
actually, may I just, still what Councillor Green saying, may I ask a question?
Yeah, please do.
Sorry, may I just double check? So the grant request is £6,563.64. Should we consider that already 2,000 of that has been allocated? So the question tonight is for 4,563.64.
Nice.
That's the question for everyone tonight.
Yes.
Right, so that is the
We've already had to pay insurance premiums and things like that already, which the £2,000 has gone. At the moment, we have only 8 weeks before a carnival. We haven't been able to buy in any bands or anything at all. This is our 100th year this year for Ramsgate Carnival. And we really wanted to make, last year we were the biggest carnival in south of Kent.
Thank you. I've got Councillor Huxley, did you have your hand up again, or am I just?
A bit confused, yeah, I don't mind.
Yeah, go on. Councillor Huxley, sorry, Councillor Hetherington, Councillor Austin, Councillor Mackinson, just so you know where you are. Thank you. Yeah.
Hay fever, I think. Is it not Kane County Council that do the road closures, not TDC? No? What is?
TDC.
TDC. It only makes sense because it's the highway.
It is highways, yeah.
Right.
I don't understand why you need parking spaces.
Yes, that's right.
Yes, that's what
Yeah, but we don't know, we've never had to pay for parking
Because there's-
spaces before, but this year.
There aren't any parking spaces.
Teresa has already written, I think, to officers to try and find out.
I used to do road closures of TDC all the time, and it was Mary Watts that I dealt with. Does she not do it anymore?
No, she's left.
Oh, she was brilliant.
Yeah.
Mary Watts, you're a star. Thanks, darling. Right.
It's not done with that, it's done through Nigel England.
Thank you for enlightening me on that. I've got Councillor Hetherington.
Well, I mean, this is maybe just a naive question, but I'm just rather curious as to how somebody can charge that amount for closing the roads. I mean, can't we get an employee to do this course or whatever it is? A short training course, presumably, that could, for the future, could close a flipping road.
Yes.
It's ridiculous.
Sorry.
It's ridiculous.
It is something that we've been looking into. One of the things we're finding difficult is trying to identify exactly the course that is then acceptable to CDC.
Right. Oh, good point.
Yeah, but it is something we're already looking into for the technicians.
Thank you. Well, good question, Councillor Hetherington, and thank you, Town Clerk, for already looking into that. That's great. So I've got Councillor Austin.
Sorry, I was going to say Morris then.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Councillor Mackinson.
Well, it was the parking spaces and the toilet hires. I mean, have we had to do that before?
No, this is something new that the council have brought into us this year. We've not had, I've been doing it now for 33 years.
We've got toilets here, and we presumably have them at government.
Well, it's the government aid one, because that's where we have the fairground and the start of the.
Are there no toilets up there?
There are.
Yeah.
The council do open them, but they will only open until 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and then we have to pay extra. But this year they decided we need to have portaloos there.
Right, I'm just going to go to the Town Clerk here, sorry.
So, very quick, at the Town Council's own Christmas light switch on event, just gone, we also had to pay for portaloos because TDC were not prepared to open up Cavendish Street for the weekend ever.
Yeah. So just to recap, we've got a situation at the moment where we've already put £2,000 into this event, just for, and that's not an opinion. So they're basically looking at, the new proposal would be £4,563.64. Now, everybody that comes to us in the rest of the year is going to be coming along with a larger amount requested, because this is going to happen to everybody. There is no two ways about it. We have to look, as the Town Clerk and Councillor Hetherington have already sort of alluded to, of making things easier for our residents by trying to do as much as we can in-house. Obviously, that's not going to be suitable for this particular event. Councillor Green, again, has rightly said about speaking to TDC with regards to can we get this down. But we have an event that needs the money to get things sorted out sooner or later. I still don't have a proposal. Councillor Austin.
Propose £3,000.
Do we have a seconder for that?
Yeah.
Was that a yes?
And you said three.
Three.
Yeah, well,
No, I would have said 5 actually, but.
Well, they only want 4. 4, 5. So you're giving. So it's 4,563. Because it's £2,000 off what the. Well. So I've got a proposal for 3 that was not seconded. I've got a proposal for 4 that. Oh, sorry, it was seconded. So we have to vote on this first. So we've got a proposal on the table for £3,000. All those in favour?
No, can I?
Oh, sorry, beg your pardon.
If you accept that, and we could, we're saying that this event is more important than all reasonable.
Yes.
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 Yes, I think that is.
Yes. Sorry, I didn't see your hand up, Councillor Green. So, well, wrap his knuckles. Okay, so we still have a proposal for £3,000. All those in favour? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All those against? 2. Abstain? 1, 2. So £3,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you've got £3,000, my love. Thank you. Thank you for your time. I would like to point out again to our visitor that we are aware of this, and we are, as you can see, we are going to look into it with regards to other events and things that to try and make life easier for all people coming up with the same problem. We hear what you're saying. Thank you. Okay.
So
you can go if you want to, stay if you want to. You're welcome. Thank you. Cheers.
So the next application is from Ramsgate Youth Football Club. They have an event that will cost £2,600 and they're asking for £1,500. This is to go towards the annual tournament, which is their main income stream for the club outside of weekly subscriptions and sponsorship. The two main expenditure items for the tournament are the referee match fees and the player team trophies for the winners, which invariably account for 50% of the event revenue. The club has not held the tournament for 3 years, and this has significantly affected the club's finances, having support in the areas of expenditure which would enhance the profitability of the event. The increased funds would allow the club to expand its team for the 23-24 season, providing community activity for the children of Ramsgate. It would also allow the club to potentially maintain subscription fees at the current level for the parents in what are economically challenging times.
Before I let anybody else talk on this, I've got Councillor Matheson and Councillor Green. I think we need to remind ourselves a couple of things here. Ramsgate Football Club have done a huge changeover of the football club. Obviously, that's cost them a lot of money, but they had the money for it. And they have a big following, so they've got lots of subscriptions and things like this. So we've got to bear that in mind. And they've also had money from other places. They're quite good at getting money. And with that, I'll let Councillor Mackinson.
Well, I think we should give them all the money because we do very little for the young people of Ramsgate. This is just one of the few things. And if it takes any of those young hooligans off the streets, that would be wonderful. Yes, I think we should give it all to them.
Okay, Councillor Green, Councillor Hetherington.
I mean, this is in our political ward, and they do a fantastic job.
Yes.
For young people across the town. I mean, this isn't the football club. This is the youth football club.
Right.
It's a different.
Oh, good point.
Football club is a for-profit organisation.
Yes.
This isn't.
Good point. Thank you.
This is.
That's my mistake. I apologise.
Charitable. So I'd like to support it. Certainly like to support it. Whether we can give the full amount, because it's in my ward, I'd like to hear other people's views.
Yeah, certainly. Councillor Hetherington.
Yeah, I'm not in favour of the full amount. Yes, we need to support it, but I'm just conscious of how much, we've got to spread amongst everybody that's applied for these grants, and it would be fair and equitable and not sort of run out of money by the end of the year, basically.
Sorry, just want to know, what is the total funds that we have?
Yeah.
So
the approved budget for the year is 34,000, and after monies that have already been committed, there's currently £15,050 remaining for the year.
And this is the beginning of the year. You know what I mean? So, Councillor Huxley. Do we have a seconder? Thank you. All those in favour? There we are. Thank you. Cheers. Number 3, Royal Temple Yacht Club.
Can I ask a question? Can I ask a question about this and the next item, because it seems to me that they are.
Yes, they're modelled.
The two groups appear to be applying for the same thing, and I don't quite understand how that works.
I think this is there and that should be there, shouldn't it?
Big Councillor Austin, thank you.
Yes, I think the text is just the wrong way round. So for the Royal Temple Yacht Club, the project that they're planning is, so it's Ramsgate Week as an annual event, normally held in early July. They've moved this year's event to August to allow more family participation during the school holidays. And it is also the week of yacht racing taking place on the waters immediately off the coast of Ramsgate. The regatta normally brings in an estimated 400 to 500 people in the form of competitors and their supporters. Competitors coming from Belgium, France, Holland and the UK. This year they're hoping to see up to 60 boats taking berth in the marina. The town of Ramsgate benefits with the increased visitor numbers and trade, and we hope to see the event sitting alongside events planned in the town to further enhance the visitor experience.
And I'm right in thinking the request is £5,000. That is with the Royal Temple Yacht Club,
yes,
and that, because otherwise we'd be like, oh, they only want 1,250. So,
yes,
okay.
£5,000 requested towards the event.
Cheers, thank you.
And they're saying this is to cover running costs of the event, promoting the event, and promoting Ramsgate as a holiday destination.
Right, anybody who'd like to make any comments? There's more, go on.
I just wondered if they were the wrong way around.
We've just said that. Yes, yeah.
I was too busy reading it.
Oh, bless you, yeah, no. No comments? Go on, Councillor Huxley.
It's a bit vague what they mean by promoting the event. How are they going to do that? What does it mean by enjoy the facilities of the clubhouse?
Okay.
You get one sandwich and a cup of tea, or champagne, or.
Yes, they do it all.
You can currently enjoy the facilities of the clubhouse if you want to. I think it's open. You have to pay for it.
Go on, Town Clerk.
So from their accounts, the total event cost is £23,500, of which £8,400 for what's described as land-based costs, which is accommodation for the approved race management, event polo shirts for staff and event organisers, glassware and engraving, event prizes, feather flags for the harbour. 10,800 is on the water costs, committee boat, food and water for the committee boat staff, offshore rib, fuel, rib operators, buoys, bow numbers, race control, centre expenses, event flag per boat. 2,300 events application and advertising, 2,000 entertainment, band, DJs, catering.
Councillor Green.
I mean, this is an important event for the town. It does promote the town. Having got rid of the windsurfing, this is probably the only event that we run that does get national coverage. So I think we should support it, but not the amount that they're asking for. I would suggest 1,000. Propose 1,000.
Propose 1,000, you'd second. Councillor Hudson seconded. Okay, I would, I'm just thinking about the social media side of thing and advertising, and like you say, it's how you promote it. I do feel that this is why I wanted to bring up a joint sort of like working party of how we use our advertising and social media and so on and so forth, because I think we ought to be playing to our strengths and promoting things for other groups also promoting us and so on and so forth. I don't think that connection works as well as it should at the moment, which is why I'd like to...
A lot more popping up on Instagram and so on at the moment.
Absolutely.
I'm really impressed with that.
Yes, yeah, thank you, exactly. Well done to those people doing that. And again, Radford House especially, I know Susie's really working hard on that one. So, but it is something that, you know, we should be helping them with, which would cut the costs down, and they should also be helping by promoting us. That's just by the by. We have a proposal on the table. Has anybody got any comments? No, in which case I'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Sorry, was that 1,000?
It is. I don't know whether we want to be writing to these people saying we do appreciate your grant application, however, or are we just leaving it as you've got £1,000? I think people need to be aware of why we're doing this, because otherwise it just looks like we're being stingy.
How stretching our budget is,
Yes.
hence the suggestion.
Yes, and we're supporting if we can help in any other way, etc., and thank you for coming to us. Because I don't want people to think that we just don't care about their events. I think it's crucial. Cheers. Right. Okay. So now on the other one is the Montefiore Heritage Annual Concert.
So the total project expenditure, 2,600. The grant requested 1,250. And this is where they wish to hold a music event at the Montefiore Synagogue on the 18th of June. This has taken place for some years self-funded, but this year with the level of inflation and the financial crisis, we need help. The project is an afternoon of traditional Jewish music and singing performed by professional artists and musicians, designed as a Baroque chamber concert. The concert will be followed by guided tours of the synagogue and Sir Moses Montefiore and his wife Judith's mausoleum.
Just to start the ball rolling, I mean, anything outside of the town centre is always a good thing, isn't it? Because taking people into different wards and getting them to see other parts of Ramsgate is excellent. So it's lovely to hear this. Thank you.
Yes, I think we should support it. I mean, I'd propose 1750.
I'd second that.
Yeah, because I mean, I've been to this and it's an excellent we really want to pay them all of it.
We're at the beginning of the year, and we've got less than £15,000 now, and so it's not that we wouldn't like to, but I'm not sure we could necessarily.
Noting the attendees.
Yes.
So in previous years, they've had an audience of approximately 60, but this year they are planning to advertise on social media, local radio, and are expecting double that number. So they're hoping to get up to 120 attendees.
And again, it's something that we should be pushing as a council.
Have we ever given them any money before? I don't remember it.
No, I don't remember it.
They've said they've
It just said they self-fund, but this year because of costs.
Yes, the tickets are quite expensive. I mean, I've been every year. I don't know how they will get the double number of people into the synagogue, but
Is the upstairs?
well, no, ladies can sit downstairs. I don't think we should give it all.
It's not all, it's 750 being
Yes,
proposed.
750 is fine.
That's what's been proposed. It's not all.
There was a counter proposal.
Oh,
Can't we give it all?
Oh, yes, certainly. But the proposal on the table at the moment is the 750.
This proposal down.
Yes.
But as you say, it's not just for Jewish people.
No. No.
Because they have a good rapport with each other.
Yes.
They tell you jokes
Yes.
in English. And they sing in English. And it really is a very good afternoon.
Thank you. I've got Councillor Green, Councillor Headington.
This group was formed when I was mayor of the town.
Long while back.
In his prime.
And initially we did help them quite a bit, get them going, but it has thrived. It's now well known.
Yeah, they do some very good things.
Across Kent and wider. So I think it's worth supporting, but I'm happy with the amount that's been proposed.
Could I just say that David was a founder member of this, and
yes,
I tagged along the end, and we've been members since.
Thank you. Right, Councillor Hetherington.
But just I'm a member of the Montefiore Society, and I mean, I just think this is a very worthwhile event. I mean, having been to it regularly, and I think promoting it, the music plus the history of the Montefiore Synagogue, which is, you know, part of the history of this town, which is extremely important.
Yes. Right. Okay. We've got a proposal on the table for half the amount, or 7,000. Start again, Anne-Marie. £750. We have a seconder. All those in favour? Thank you. Okie dokie.
Right. So the last one from the Events Fund is a request from Ramsgate Royal British Legion for the Festival of Remembrance. Total project expenditure £3,298. Grant requested £2,000. Ramsgate Festival of Remembrance is an event to celebrate those who gave their lives in the service of this country. As part of the organisation, there will be involvement of military bands and other acts celebrating the Remembrance event. The funding will be used to offset the hire of the Granville Theatre, printing costs and publication of the event, along with assisting with costs towards performers at the event.
Okay. Any comments?
Can we pay them?
The answer to that is if it was voted in, yes, and then you wouldn't be paying anybody else anything. So again, you're cutting your cloth accordingly. It's not that we can't; it needs to be voted on. But again, you turn around to another group and say, "Well, I'm sorry, I can't do that." So that's for the council to decide, isn't it?
I'm a member of the...
Of course. I don't think, Pat, don't get me wrong, I don't think anybody thinks, oh, they shouldn't have any money. I think everybody would like to give all the money to everybody that asks.
Absolutely.
That's not our...
I thought I should ask.
Of course, and I...
Get it or not is irrelevant.
Fair enough, my love, I understand that entirely. Councillor Austin.
Can I propose £1,000?
I second that. All those in... Oh, is anybody... Sorry, even about to talk?
For what it's worth, I'd like to see something.
Okay.
Without dispersed.
All right, all those in favour? Carried. Against? Thank you. Okay, thank you. Again, gentleman at the back, bless you. So we are on to the Ramsgate Fund. Just before I hand over to the town clerk, if you look at the budget, it was £25,000. The balance is 20,800, just to bring your attention to that. Thank you, Councillor.
I'm just going to say for new members, I don't know.
Yes.
This is traditionally capital. Not for a current fund.
Yes.
Not for staff, traditionally.
I wonder if, for the sake of the Friends of Spencer Square, in view of the fact that their request is so small,
we could do them first.
Their item first before
That is an excellent idea. If people are in agreement with that.
I think he's enjoying it.
Could I ask my colleague if he can remember the cap on the Ramsgate Fund's expenditure? Is it 3,000 or 3,500? I think it's 3,000.
It's 3,200, it's 10%.
I thought it's 3,200.
3,200. So whereas actually a number of these applications are for more than that.
Yes.
Currently, the policy for the Ramsgate Fund is 3,200 per application.
And thank you for that, because that is important, especially for new people. So, it's all right with you, Dominic, we'll do you first. So, thank you. Friends of Spencer Square. You're that one.
Right. Total project expenditure £779. Grant requested £779. The applicant states, over recent years, the condition of the 10 benches in Spencer Square have deteriorated through lack of maintenance. Following discussion with our local councillors, the Friends of Spencer Square decided to mount a project to pilot undertaking the required work in April 2023. This has proved successful. We have progressed much of the repairs from our existing capacity. However, the woodwork in the remaining 4 traditional benches is in poor condition and requires extensive replacement. So the project comprises repair of those benches. We have researched alternative suppliers of the required materials and found a local woodyard in Pisons Road to be the best option.
Okay, anybody got any comments?
The Spencer Square still belongs to TDC, does it, or does it belong to Ramsgate?
Spencer Square.
Spencer Square.
TDC.
And they presumably...
And these benches presumably belong to TDC.
Benches belong to TDC, and they presumably will not repair them themselves.
I very much doubt it. I've got Councillor Huxley and then Councillor Austin.
Yes, they would be,
Oh, cheers.
there are sometimes depends whether they got money TDCs, benches in Eastcliff, they have actually paid.
Hey, blimey. Who do you know?
No,
Yeah.
unless it's to do with RTC, Maxine Morgan maybe, but I'm not sure.
Probably.
Combination of both.
Right. Yeah, thank you. Councillor Austin.
My understanding, and I think that Dominic, that we've asked TDC,
Say
TDC officers in the past, haven't we, about this, and we've got.
Yeah, we've come to you more or less in desperation because, you know, Spencer Square is a good news story at the moment with
Yes.
tennis and the cafe. And for more than a generation we've been maintaining, not me personally, but we have a long history of maintaining the gardens well. And the benches are really letting us down. We've got the labour to do it, excellent volunteers. All we need is the materials, and the hardwood necessary to replace the slats is our stumbling point.
Right.
70% of this cost. I think it makes a huge difference to the amenity in Spencer Square if we can do this. And as I say, I'm informed by people who actually undertook this, which is Veronica Pratt and others in the group, that we, after persistent efforts to get Thanet District Council to help on this one, we've come to you. And as I say, we're good at doing what we do. I think it's very, it'll be very economic in terms of the benefits because we've got the labour to do it, it's just the materials, and we are hopeful of your support.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can I just add that I'm sure I don't need to say to people that the Friends of Spencer Square do a phenomenal job.
Yes.
They work extremely hard. They're doing
One of our amazing
all volunteers.
volunteer groups.
It's a real highlight of Ramsgate and should be supported. In my
Certainly. Councillor Hetherington.
Well, I was going to echo once again what Councillor Austin said. I have to say I'm a friend of Spencer Square, so I've probably got vested interest in this. But there is a phenomenal job done by the volunteers there, and it is one of our premier squares. A lot of people go there because of its connections, because of the Van Gogh and everything else, and have a new cafe. So I think we should.
I'm going to propose the full amount. Councillor Green, do you want to say something?
I was going to suggest we pay for two and invite TDC for pay for the other two.
It's never going to happen, is it? I like the theory behind it, but
Yeah, just really quite annoying, but
Go on.
there is the ward councillors' funds, they could use those.
going to suggest that for Montefiore similarly.
yeah.
We would be happy to make a contribution from our ward councillors' funds if we needed to, but
I think
it would be good if the town council put some money into it.
Right. Well, I haven't had a seconder for my proposal, so anybody's welcome to propose. Sorry?
I'll second your proposal.
Okay, so it's the full amount that's been proposed and seconded. Anybody say anything before I go to the votes? Right, all those in favour? Yes. All those against? Abstain. There we go. Carried.
Carried.
No, I don't know. I'm quite emotional with this. I'm really very grateful to you and we'll see hard work done and the benefit will be there for all to see.
Thank you very much.
Well done. And well done for coming here.
Right, if we go back to the original first one, I want to talk about this if I may, just before the town clerk does. Bear in mind, we've basically got 20,000 left now that we've just knocked about 800 on the head. So the cap for this particular funding is 3,200, and the next proposal that the town clerk's going to read out is effectively for rent of a building for a business. Now, the reason I'm saying this to the new people, the reason we kicked this into the long grass and it's come up now One, because it was such a huge amount, which we couldn't pay anyway, even if we wanted to, unless we changed things. But also, bear in mind how many other organisations would like us to pay their rent. That's all I'm leaving. I'll leave that one there with you.
I'm not even sure it's within the remit of the fund.
I agree.
It's not capital funding.
So, Town Clerk.
So we have a request from Stage Door Arts CIC, total expenditure £15,000, grant requested £15,000. The council did consider this earlier in the year in February, but the members were concerned about funding rent and were unsure as to where this funding request fitted within the funding streams, if at all, but wanted the incoming council to decide. This application is for funding towards a 3 months deposit and 3 months rent for relocation to a new premises in the town centre for a dance studio, cafe and community space, which currently houses a number of community events. The applicant states the premises we're currently in has been sold. By moving into the town centre, we will be able to keep our dance academy running, open our cafe for longer hours for the benefit of the people of Ramsgate who use the town centre, host and facilitate more community groups and usage of our space. We plan to pay our deposit and get ahead with our rent in order to have time to do the work needed to transform the space into a usable community space. We currently have over 500 students on our roll with the academy, and with a larger space we can accommodate at least double that. Our other activities currently attract over 900 participants, and our cafe is used by all residents of Ramsgate. And our community space and groups currently serve up to 600 people. This can be increased and has no limit. The council in 2021, due to continued under applications to the Ramsgate Fund, did actually resolve that there can be occasions when revenue will be considered, but this to try and encourage more applicants. But it is generally capital that is considered appropriate.
Any comments? Councillor Huxley.
We should be funding the rent, deposit and rent.
I agree. I've got Councillor, Councillor Dart, Councillor Mackinson, Councillor Hetherington and Councillor Green.
I entirely agree with Councillor Green and Councillor Huxley. I don't think we should go down this path at all.
Okay. Right, thank you. Councillor Mackinson.
I walk past this at least twice a day. I have never seen it open. The only clue is some little girls there on Saturday morning in their tutus waiting to go in. And this business about the cafe, I'm clueless about when it's open. So I don't know whether anyone else knows anything more about it. I know that we're trying to get the old bank, the HSBC.
Yeah, that's what this is for. That's the rent.
I've heard that they haven't got it, but they've got somewhere else.
Yeah.
They've got somewhere else.
Oh, right. Well, okay. So
Yeah.
that's interesting.
So, sorry, I just want to...
Yeah, no, that's important. Thank you.
Yeah.
Councillor Hetherington, Councillor Green.
No, I think we can't, this is, we've never done this before. I don't think we should be doing this. I spent this morning negotiating rent for another charity, and it's not acceptable for us to be paying for this.
Yes, thank you. Councillor Green.
I mean, I think we could stretch things to pay the deposit. But I think paying rents is outside the remit.
I would be very worried if we started paying deposits, quite frankly. I think it's a whole area that we don't want to go down.
We're not a housing.
We could be. Yeah. I think the other thing too is this is a business, and so we've got to be very careful of that. It's not like a community group or anything like that. They might do stuff for the community.
Exactly.
CIC.
Yes, but then the CIC has to, fund itself, doesn't it? It just puts the profits back into the organisation, so it isn't a charity. I mean, yes, I hear what you're saying. And I think that's quite interesting though, if we are hearing that the building hasn't been taken, then we are effectively paying rent or something for a building that we're not actually sure what it is. I think that's quite important as well.
We used to put in a clause in saying our money's only there if it's viable.
Well, there's no proposal on the table, so if anybody's got one.
I think we should throw it out, to be honest.
I second.
Okay, so we don't give anything. That's been seconded. Anybody want to say anything before we?
Sorry, maybe we ought to, for Astor, if things have changed, and to tell us what has changed before we finally say yes or no.
It's still for rent and deposit.
Because
we don't pay
it may change what they actually want if their circumstances have changed, and that's what I'm actually thinking, because it is like it's like a very high profile thing, especially on social media. It is Ramsgate, I think, one of the things that people engage with.
Deposit in their rent.
I think that's right, but
well, this is what this proposal is, Jim.
Yes, that's what this proposal is.
But maybe if they're changing, maybe if they've not got their thing that they want, that they might change what they ask for. That's what I'm thinking.
Well, they will have, if this gets voted out that you're not going to get it, they can do that. They have the option, don't they, to do exactly that.
Explain.
We will explain why. So yes. Councillor Green, did you want to say something? No.
So they've been crowdfunding.
Yes, they have. They have been crowdfunding, exactly.
So I don't know.
Yeah. Right, we've got a proposal on the table where we do not give them any money. All those in favour? All those against? Abstain? 1 and 1. Thank you. Okay, cheers. Carson Parking Fairley.
Right. So this is an individual applicant from an artist who is applying for funding to conduct a participatory project and workshops in Ramsgate centred around the concept of how we celebrate ourselves. The project, Icons of Ramsgate, will consist of 3 community workshops, all directed at different social groups, and the personal creation of 4 artworks. Combined, these activities will culminate in a public outcome in the form of an exhibition displaying both my work and pieces created in the workshop, which will take place at the Wooden Box Gallery, Arts in Ramsgate, in May 23. I plan to spend the money on materials for the art workshops to take place. The money will go toward the cost of various materials for the participants to use. Further information received since Council considered the application in February was to say that the applicant, I now have confirmed partnerships for the project in the following: East Kent MenCap, who will be helping me find participants for the adults with varying disability workshops and social streaming; Pie Factory Music, who will be helping me find participants for the young people's workshop and social streaming; Screaming Alley, who will be support the workshop aimed at working class women, but by allowing me to work in the community with the group Screaming Marys; Arts in Ramsgate, who will supply me with space for my Screaming Marys workshop; Del Renzio's, who are in support through match funding; Wooden Box Gallery, supporting through discounted use of space and promotion; and Ramsgate Thrift Store, who are in support through match funding.
Yes, that's enough.
Do we know who this artist is?
What's his surname?
She's actually Sophie Parking's daughter, Sophie Parking, and what's the woman Parking, who was her mother, who was her grandmother, Parking, I can't remember the name, but I basically know her grandmother, whose name I can't remember. What's it's somebody famous. She basically wrote loads of books about her life in the 60s, Bill. And affairs with various people.
It's a whole new meeting, this is, can't it? Yeah.
She's Welsh, anyway.
Right, oh,
She's about 96, 97.
That's not her.
No, it's
the grandmother, right.
And she's not the one that had that shop with all the graffiti or whatever.
I don't think, no, that was...
Not tattoo parlour.
No, that was actually somebody else. She basically, I've seen her, she works in the gallery on the East Cliff, the one Philip, what's her name, has, which is the small one that, again, names, Philip was... she basically worked in Margate, I think, as well.
Okay. So anyway, so the total grant requested is £500. The project expenditure is 12,703. Any proposals? Do you have a second? Yeah. Anybody want to say anything before I go to the vote?
I couldn't say anything because it's Arts and Ramsgate is mentioned here and I'm connected to that.
Certainly, thank you. All those in favour? Okay, cheers. Right.
We've got an application from...
Somebody passed.
Sorry, councillors, thank you.
Got an application from Screaming Alley. The project cost is 1,850. Grant requested the same. The applicant states funding is sought for the purchase of microphones, mic stands, a sound desk and portable speakers in order to ensure all activities are produced to an industrial level and that all performances are supported by the provision of good quality sound amplification.
Would anybody like to speak on this at all?
So can I just say, I basically know them and what they do, but I've not spoken to these people
Yeah.
for like a year now. But just to say, I think it's worthwhile because what they're doing is they're actually buying things that they can use for when they do things. And hopefully people can also use it as well.
Yes.
In the arts. And it's rather than lots of hiring it in, perhaps it'll make it cheaper.
Yes.
Then I think it's like a good idea to buy things rather than
Yes.
hire things.
Just before Councillor Green comes in, we do actually support Screaming Alley quite a lot. They do an awful lot of good stuff. I'm not saying that we shouldn't support them. That's just information. We've got Councillor Green, Councillor Hetherington.
Well, this is a classic Ramsgate Fund application.
Oh, good tip. Well done.
I mean, this is what it was set up for.
Yes.
To do this. Whether we give them more
Certainly.
current financial difficulties, I'm not so sure. I'd propose 1,000.
I second that.
Okay, I've got the town clerk wanting to talk.
At Radford House, in our container of events equipment, there's actually some audio equipment, including speakers, I think microphone stands of unknown origin that are not of, that the technicians are identified as not of use to us. So we could give them first refusal on the things that we have and we don't need.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Just well.
As well.
So because one idea I sort of had or floated was perhaps we could buy.
I was wondering about
like that.
Yes.
Then we could lend it to them on actually free hire sort of thing.
Right. The only problem with that is, and I think we've gone down that path before, it always involves technicians' time. Because the minute you do that, who looks after it? Where does it get stored? Who picks it up? Do you know what I mean? It's always an ongoing, oh, hang on a minute.
No, see, I would say that we would actually buy it.
Yes.
And they would actually use it.
Yes. So
but it would be.
Yes, but this we've done,
Yes.
of course, but the council, and I'm not saying we don't do that. I'm just putting the facts of the practical issues. So somebody says, "Oh, town clerk, that equipment, can we have it?" And so they'll often say, "Oh, we don't have a van. Could you bring it to us?" So we've then got to ask our technicians to say, "When have you got a free time? Could you go over and get that? And you need to speak to this people." So actually, it impacts on the town councils, technicians quite a lot.
I'm saying what we're saying, but wouldn't it be easier just to say to them, here's the stuff, and if people want to use it, then go to them and they sort it out amongst themselves?
Ideally, yes. Do you know what? That never happens. I'm with you. In an ideal world, that's just brilliant. In truth, it never happens.
Plus, it might get broken, in which case we'll have to.
Yes.
Mend it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
It's a good idea.
it's a good idea.
No,
But practically, it's not.
It could be a money earner.
Okay. Yeah. So, recap. Have we got a proposal?
We've got a proposal on the table for £1,000.
With the idea that we also offer them a bit of equipment, so they'll shove that in as well.
Sorry, just to say it, £1,000 wouldn't, because with this stuff, you basically need the whole kit or nothing, you know what I mean? Like it only works, you've got the amp,
yes,
mic, etc. So maybe it's worth doing a proposal that we will give them this stuff to Radford House, and then maybe come back and buy what they need to make that work.
Well, we've got a proposal on the table that we have to vote on, so it's £1,000 we have to vote on it. We've also got equipment that they could look at, which could supplement that. So we've got to vote on that first. Anything else, then we can come back to it. So all those in favour, it's £1,000. Plus they get a look at the equipment that we are trying to get rid of to see if they like it. All those in favour? Carried. Brilliant. Cheers.
Right, next application is from Heritage Lab CIC. £5,000 is the total expenditure. They're asking for $3,500. This was deferred from the previous council to the incoming council. But the applicant was asked why they have not included the provision of an accessible toilet within other grants applied for. So the application states funding is sought for the supply and installation of a DDA compliant ground floor WC cubicle. There is currently no toilet available in the building at ground floor level. The premises is Age and Sons building. In response to our previous question, they've answered, in the original design for the ground floor, there wasn't enough space to host a toilet, therefore no amounts for this were included in the previous finance and grant applications. We have subsequently changed the layout of the ground floor via the removal of a staircase to allow for the toilet. Now we have created the space to host a toilet. We do not have the funds for this, hence our application to the Ramsgate Fund.
You can tell just from that this was quite a convoluted sort of like, where are they going with this type of thing when we got the application in the first place. It's like, well, let's get this right. So you've applied to get this building, you want to do stuff with it, oh, we need a toilet, but you haven't actually factored in where it's going. Hang on a minute. And if you know you need a toilet, well, why haven't you got the funds to do it? So why did you get the building in the first place? So we all basically kicked it into the new council can deal with that, if you know what I mean. So here we are again. Councillor Green.
Are they taking Age and Sons on as well as the basement of the Granville?
Yes, they are. So they're stretching themselves very thin. I think if you hear my underlying cynicism here.
Rob Kenyon.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is, again, for people that don't know, so they're doing the Granville Theatre, they're looking at refurbishing up the underneath, which is an interesting proposal in itself, and I recommend people look at the actual proposal of what's going on there and also the timeline of what's happening and speak to the residents about it as well. And then they decided that do Age and Sons. That's no bad thing, looking at a building that needs taking over and preserving and so on and so forth. Credit to them for that. However, this is just an oddity. Go on.
We're talking about asking TDC if they can use the space outside. Is that TDC?
We have Charlotte Court, which is the petanque court and the flowers around. The small square that's opposite Saltworks is TDC.
I wasn't aware until a couple of years ago when it came up over something, so I thought it was all out. Good question, Councillor Green, because again, it's quite confusing.
Didn't they ask for a disabled toilet in the Granville?
Yes.
In the Granville Bars?
Yes. Now just,
Yeah.
no, so when we're doing Radford House, one of the things that we look at when we're looking at the plan for Radford House and community centre and so on and so forth is it's very much dependent on who can go to the toilet. So your numbers are factored in by how many toilets have you got. So again, you see, we're looking at this, having just done it with our own property, thinking, how can you not factor in a toilet? You know what I mean? So it must have been something that would impact exactly on your scheme of works for that particular building. And if it impacts on the scheme, then why haven't you factored it in the budget? So, no. So, we sort of might need a proposal on this one. What do people want to do?
Well, I propose we don't pay for it, that if they're budgeted properly for both this and the Granville, why didn't they include this one as a priority?
Okay, do we have a seconder for that proposal?
Yeah, second that.
Okay. I mean, I can understand in some ways that they might want to get funding from various places to do this. Yes, exactly, because they probably can't do it.
I'd like to propose an amendment that we offer them £1,000 as a contribution towards it.
Okay, are you happy with that amendment?
I think this is peculiar.
Yeah.
Well, let's vote on this and then we can come back to that. Is that all right? So we vote that we don't give them anything. All those in favour? Yeah, and against? Abstain. Okay, right, it's carried, thank you. I don't mind them, I mean, you know, if we can say to them, come back to us again, talk us through this, because I just think it smells a bit, this particular proposal. They might need money. I'm all for like sorting the building out.
Sometimes just a token bill, just say they've got the support of the town council. It's important to them.
Certainly, I agree with you. So if they come back to us, then it might be in their best interests. Cheers. Last one on the funding. Thank you, everybody.
Mischievous Theatre CIC for a Ramsgate High Street audio trail. They're applying for funding for our High Street trail to supplement our application to the Heritage Action Zone funding for its Ramsgate High Street project. Similar to last year's Harbour Highlights audio trail, we now intend to create an online dramatic, humorous and factual walking trail focusing on the residents, their stories, history, events and major influences that have created our high street. Gossip, humour and facts, stories then and now. The audio trail will be uploaded to the museum app so that it can be enjoyed either walking the trail or sitting at home. We aim to entertain, inform, intrigue and to tempt people to discover more about Ramsgate and encourage more visitors. The funding is sought to support extensive research into people and stories of Ramsgate High Street and to write an informative and entertaining script which will lead to recording of a high-quality audio trail using professional voice actors. It's noted that RTC itself unsubscribed from the museum app as members felt that it didn't give the promotion publicity as promised. However, museum, the app owners themselves have kept all of our information on the app because I think Ramsgate was actually had quite a good selection of activities. It was good promotion for them. Other community groups are going ahead with it. For Ramsgate Town Council, the museum app covered the whole of Ramsgate. However, this application is not for funding towards the actual app subscription. Council is asked whether to fund this application.
Any comments?
It looks like they are getting some money from the Heritage Action Zone funding anyway. And yeah, I remember we weren't very impressed with their promotion publicity for their app. I think they went to town promotion committee and we didn't think much of it. Or the sort of outcomes of it weren't very good.
It does say to supplement our application to the Heritage Action Zone funding as opposed to they've got funding from it.
As Councillor Green points out, it's not really a capital project, is it?
I think the other thing that we have to bear in mind is this was funded, and I'd like to know what the figures are of people using it. I'm right in believing that it was funded and it was put on the museum app. I'd like to know the statistics for how many people have actually used it. Do we have that information?
No, well, actually, in consideration of our own support for the museum app, we requested statistics across the range of trails, and it wasn't actually forthcoming from the app posters. One thing though, although they're using the museum app, actually the trail itself could potentially be put into other mediums and media.
I think it's yeah, and that's a good point. I mean, if anybody's noticed that the women's trail, I've probably got the name of that wrong, but 23 women, thank you, and 23, isn't it? 23 and 23, which is an excellent trail that instantly has got people talking. They do really good social media information. They've got a lot of interaction on that and a lot of information going out about these women. So if it was something that could be put more into the immediate accessibility of people, I think that might be more useful. I don't know whether we wanted to go back and explain that to this particular group and say
that might be helpful. Yeah.
Actually, the new active Ramsgate project manager, one of the things that he's doing is actually just taking stock of all the different trails, where they're available, where they're marketed, are they online, is there hard copy, to try and consolidate and make things as accessible as possible.
So I'm going to be quite mean here, and I might suggest that we don't give them any money at this present time. We do invite them to speak to the new town promotion link to look at how we can incorporate everything that we've got and make best use of it. And if monies need to be forthcoming at a later date, then it's something that maybe that particular organisation want to do.
We can revisit it.
Yeah, that's my proposal.
I don't think the fee is for the hosting on museum. I think that the fee is for the actually the working up of the content.
Yes, I agree. Yeah. But I think that if they're going to work up that content, then we need to know how it's going to be used, where it's going to be for people to access it. And if it isn't a museum app, then maybe we can use it more ourselves.
Do we know how much they're getting from the Heritage Action Fund?
They've applied for 2 grants, both of which they're awaiting a decision. It's £2,000 from the High Street Has and £2,000 from the Matthew Good Foundation.
I haven't had a seconder, so you can propose something if you wanted to.
I would propose that we grant them £1,000, conditional on all the other grants going through.
Okay.
I'll second that then. Yeah. Anybody want to talk to that at all? Or? Right, all those in favour? Thank you. Cheers. I know it's a long evening, but we've done well. We've got one other thing that we need to suspend. Exclusion of press and public, so that we can get this last bit done. So thank you for this. It's confidential matters. Yes, please. Oh God, have you serious? Oh God, sorry, beg your pardon. Thank you. Go on, signatories. Thanks, Dean.
So at the beginning of the council year, I'm asking you to confirm the signatories for the bank accounts. These are currently Councillors Alban, Austin, Nixie and Green. And this is where for every payment that's made, we need 2 signatures. This is now by and large done online, so we need people who are able to log on to the computer system from home, and occasionally sign cheques. I understand that Councillor Nixie would like to be removed from this list of people.
Sorry, no, this is on record. Councillor Nixie has been told to be removed because apparently my signature isn't good enough. Let's just put that out there, all right? I've never asked to be removed. My signature's absolutely fine. Just absolutely shocking. I've been demoted, so somebody else can have it. Let me tell you, there's no perks. Who fancies it then? Who's not a signatory that wants to be a signatory?
Well, other ones that are signatures now, do they want to continue?
I don't mind carrying on, that's fine.
So we've got Councillor Austin, hurrah, brilliant one.
How many do you need?
You've got 4 generally.
So there's 2 people required for each payment, but we think having 3, ideally 4, is helpful, so that if somebody's away on holiday or someone can't get their phone because...
Councillor Orban will carry out.
Yeah, so Councillor Orban, Councillor Austin.
And me, and the new chair, vice chair, F&GP.
Which you don't know yet. So you're at a 3, we'll try and get you a 4. Only I can't be vice chair of F&GP. Ha! Excellent! I like it, David. That's made my night, that has. Cheers, love. Right, so, is that all right? Yeah? Good. Number 4, let's do NALC.
So the last item is that last year the council resolved to start paying the basic parish allowance, which is £600 per councillor, £1,200 for the chair. This is not money that you don't need to bring receipts and payments and claim the money. It is just a lump sum that you will receive, and it's to ensure that you're not out of pocket by being a councillor, so that actually your mileage, printing, if you're meeting someone and you buy a coffee, parking.
Yeah. It's also not £600 by the time they take the tax and everything off it, so it's considerably less.
And I think it's appropriate for the new council, although it is in the budget, the new council to resolve whether this should continue, whether this is something that you want to reconfirm every year or confirm for the term of office. I think either is appropriate. If it was confirmed for the 4 years, it could still always be brought back at some point if there was a query.
I propose we accept it for the 4 years. That's first of all. And just to anybody that doesn't know, NALC is basically our overseeing body that we go to for information and reference with regards to all things local council. Yes.
The rate is set at 10% of GDC plus.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Thank you. Anybody want to say anything before I go to the vote? All those in favour? Thank you. That's that for 4 years. Cheers. Thank you. Apologies for missing out the last 2 things. Thank you for pointing that out. We've got one last thing that is confidential, so I'm going to ask to exclude press and public.
That's a vote required.
That's a vote. All those in favour? Thank you. That's thousands.